That's not what I clicked on, but okay. Hold on. Let me just throw this thing all over the place. There we go. I'm sorry, I just don't like things being too bright. I guess that does make me kind of dark. Funny, I know, but anyway. So, intuitively, the Heinz's that I just got like yesterday, even though I got 2 new ones, intuitively, hello Nightshade, intuitively a part of me is saying, make use of those Heinz's right now. And even the Heinz that I got Prince Citry yesterday, he's even kind of, hinting at you can take the flowers from it and use them, please. Don't have them be to waste, okay? Because since they're kind of not looking the best already, so I decided I'm gonna just try a first ever DIY or whatever the heck. And I'm gonna be attempting to make a perfume from these 3. So as you can kind of see, they're starting to go a little bit. You can see how the pure pink, and then there's getting a little bit pink. So I'm gonna be taking the bright pink flowers off of them, and if there's any potential hope for any other ones to come about from them, okay. If not, well, off with them. And that's vodka, and that's how you actually say vodka, not vod, if you're going at it from the Russian standpoint. And I'm going to try making a Heinz perfume. What did I put it as? D-I-U? Or did I put the U and the I backwards? Like, do your incentive? Or better yet, D-U-I, damn you idiot. And what? It's funny. Okay. Brownie, they're there. So what I'm going to do is essentially, I'm going to start with I'll do that one last. I'm just going to do this one. I'm going to do this one first. And this one, funny enough, this one's actually the one that I showed as an example for imbuing a plant for magical purposes. And you can kind of tell by like how you see this pink is a little bit darker. Those are the ones that are kind of meh. The ones that are brighter, the brighter pink, those are the ones I'm going to be grabbing from. And coming from the frame of mind that I do, and as an animalist, no, not animist, and I can't say the right terminology, but it's like when you believe everything has a consciousness and feelings, and me actually cutting off of it, or like snipping it, it does to me. I kind of get a feeling of like, why'd you just cut me, dude? That hurt. Stop. Ow. Yeah. So it's kind of for me a bit difficult to do that, but that's life, and that's how just some people are. And especially this being my favorite plant, and having kind of an emotional attachment to it, which happens to me a bit too much. This is so hard to do, and I'm trying so hard to avoid doing it because I don't want to cut the poor thing, but it has to be done. So I'm going to be like trimming each usable flower and put it in here. And I'm trying to get my grounding just right because it's just like, oh. I'm trying so hard to not even do it because just do it, kid. And even me trying to grab a point, like a spot to even yoink it out of there, it's difficult. Okay, there we go. Okay, let me see. Okay. Even internally, like like the hindsight, specifically this one. Get all that greeny out of there. Internally, there was flowers growing within, and it didn't even fully spread open because the way the vase is open, the way this vase is too cramped, and the flowers were like exploding inwardly, not allowing it to open up. So okay. Alrighty. This is kind of like trying to peel back a banana peel. Kind of. I just don't like doing it. And if you're wondering, well, why you cutting it there? Well, simple. I'm trying to, expose the, stems. No worries, not indecent exposure. I'm just trying to know where to, trim. Okay. That was better than being taken out by a peel, like a banana peel. Oh, anyway, now that that's out of the way, but look. Like this, like these ones right here, these are perfect. And the ones on the right, they're kind of like, we're going out. That's what you think. I'm just gonna grab that one first. No. Okay. I almost dropped it into the water. That would have been a hot mess. Now this is Heinzeth. Kenneth Copeland. I've never seen that. Yep, and this is only one of the three. The other two, I'm going to be cutting them too, and the one I gave to Prince Citri as a thank you for putting up with my shenanigans that one night when I invited him, and he kind of roared himself in like, guess who's here? Oh, so nice of you to join us and almost make me shriek on a schoolgirl on a live stream. Okay. I know, come on. Milkshake. Yeah, I love you to death, little guy. No, I really do. And then after this, yeah, they're not going to be able to bloom again. So I'm going to have to properly, sorry. I'm going to have to properly, like dispose of them. Yeah, the water in there does not smell the most pleasant, so that's a sign that they were not doing so hot. When they were starting to go. Hold on. There's that one. Now I need to find another. Does it work? Okay, now I gotta go through and pick out the ones that are good, like these ones. Look, those are perfect. The ones that are most full, like this one, I'm gonna keep. And the ones that are kind of like squished and kind of going. Right. Well, today, Isabel, I'm kind of like taking an initiative to try and make my first pretty much my own kind of way of doing a perfume. And now I'm going flower by flower, trying to pick out the good Heinz's to use. Because I mean, if there is an indication that it does have some life to it, kind of like that one, but it does look like it's going out the window, yeah. But the ones that are kind of like, yeah, they're not gonna be able to be used. Come here. No, not really that one. The ones I'm not gonna use, I'm gonna put into this container. I'm gonna hold on to them. That way I can use magical workings. Okay, let's see. Yeah. Okay. And yes, I'm gonna try my best to pay attention to what's being said in the chat. So if you do have questions at all, I'll be more than happy to answer them. So take this as like a, how do you put this? Kind of like one of those, as I like to call it, an occulty free-for-all question thingy-mobini, if you'd like. And I'll just pay attention to the chat while I'm trying to, trim. Okay. I think this might be a better way of doing it. Just go like this. Because when we get up to the tippity tip top, it's easier. So ish squish, hold still, make sure there's nobody in there that doesn't need to be getting beheaded. Okay, so yeah, well, these ones are not the most beautiful. Besides, what's his face? Who's Kenneth Copeland? I'm going, first off, water-based. I'm going to be using alcohol and water. Well, for me, it's early, late afternoon, but the hyacinth flowers that I cannot use because they probably won't add a lot of pleasant scents to it, I'm just gonna put to the side and use them for any other kind of magical workings and have them just dry out their natural way. Nope, that was not gonna work. Well, yeah, none of those ones are, well, except you. Yes, you. Come on, girl, unhand it. Thank you, beautiful. And yep. No, you weren't supposed to jump out of there, you silly. But now you see these ones? This is like I guess the grain of the crop, kind of. Somewhat. Okay. There you go. Kinky. Well, not really, but you get the idea. Okay. And wow, I can really smell the good ones in here. So we're gonna go, all of you. There you go. Nailed it. I mean, I would pluck them, but don't. Shit. What? Come on, okay. Honey bear, you're gonna have to be a little bit compliant for once. Hey, beautiful, honey, beautiful. Just say right there. And if any of you are saying, "Wow, you make a good cosmetologist," funny enough, I actually had ideas and thoughts of actually practicing that cosmetology. Because back in the day, many moons ago, I used to color my hair like every week. One day it was this color, then the next day it was this. No, wait, the next week it was this color. But it was always a shade of black. It was like 50 shades of darkness, not 50 shades of gray. As you can see, yeah, that smells majestic. And now the really the flowers for hyacinth, I got them from. Oh, good. And that is precisely why I absolutely love people that don't get offended easily, because they know how to They know how to see something and take a joke. These Heinz-F, so far I've only gotten one brand, and they're from a brand called Bloom something. I can't remember. And the vodka I used, usually all the vodka would pretty much be the same, but if you want to go for like the real Russian kind, you would want to go for Pipov, I think, or Russian Standard, because real vodka is supposed to just go tickle and cleanse and warm the inside, like really cleanse the palate. The modern day vodka thinks that vodka goes like this. Gives you a slap in the face. No, it's not. That's not what it's meant to do. Okay, these ones are like absolutely divine. They're like, lady, open up. No, I'm just messing. They're talking about Edith Ann, and I just couldn't resist. Whoops. You know, kids these days. And yes, I'm talking about my grandmother. And don't you be looking at kids. What about you? Aren't you a kid? I'm 28, but yes. You know, kids these days. Majestic. Beautiful. Come on. Kinky. Honey bear. There you go. If I'm correct, today is Easter, isn't it? I can't really remember off the top of my head, because if today is Easter, well, I hope, you know, that bloody rabbit didn't kidnap all your eggs and, you know, stole them from you. Because, yeah, that's what happened with me. Some thumping, humping bunny came on in and took me eggs. Okay. And as you can tell, there's a big difference. Okay, if there's the one, then I gotta lay that to rest. That one to rest. I'm gonna do this small one next. Let's see, come on, little guy. And yeah, this one already did have one bloom, but it had to be cut off because it was starting to become really out of line. So there's not only one stalk. Oh God! Just hearing that one snip makes me upset. Yeah, that one needs to go too. Cause okay. So pretty much again, it's the same ones. The bright, soft pinky, not the meh rosy, dark rosy ones. Just trimming them off. Oh no, I remember the brand now. It's called Bloom Maker. No. And these ones I'm going to keep for magical purposes. This one is actually going to be for the perfume. And you can kind of tell, hopefully, the difference. I can smell it. Mesmerizing. Well, because usually Easter, around the time that the holiday happens, like how I've talked about, like when Venus goes behind the sun, and how Venus is associated with Lucifer and his fall. Well, usually most of the time around the year, this is Easter can also be seen as not only for celebrating fertility, but it's also a holiday that celebrates and acknowledges the when Venus goes behind the sun out of view, and then 3 to 4 weeks later it rises again, or like Lucifer's fall comes back again, kind of like that. That's another hidden gem. But now this one that I got for a citrus, yeah, this one's probably kicking the bucket too fast. Yes, that's what I'm doing for these ones. I'm going to dry them and actually use them for magical purposes. I'm just going to let them air out because I do have in another container, actually almost like 2 to 3 containers full of dried roses, white rose petals, crimson, pink. Yeah, I have like buckets of buckets. Yeah, containers full of on container of like them. So now this one, and specifically since this one I did intentionally try to get for, I did want to get something for citrus, and on the back of it I did put, I'll show you. So that's what this was the intention that I was ultimately having for yesterday. Just for that. Intentionally meant just to give him as a thank you. On the back, I wrote a nice little sweet thank you note. For thank you, Prince Citri, for your time and investment in my growth. And then I initialed it. But because since they're starting to go down and not be in the best standing, I did get an input from him saying that you can harvest the flowers, but I appreciate you that you took the time to even come back afterwards to express gratitude and not in the kind of moment, which is something that I've also, well, while it's fresh in my mind. Oh, I don't like that noise. Anyway, I did have another thought that I was kind of wanting to bring forward to just contemplate about, that anybody should maybe even consider. Escuch, you, majestic. Sorry. Because, I mean, look at that. It's like Pinky, but no brain. It was a joke, okay? Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, these ones. Oh. Top, yeah. No. Like the bottom ones, they're starting to really go. So I'm going to just get rid of these ones out of the book. Here. Probably, well, we'll go keep it simple. Well, get down, right there. Sorry. Sorry. Yeah, that's a good one. And all these ones can just go into here. Except you somehow almost got in the wrong pile. But the thought that I was wanting to present, like how, that is if you do partake in this, like when you get called for an interview for a job or a position or something along those lines, like how it's like believed to be taught that when after you're finished with your interview like the post interview questions, there's a kind of some common belief that there's a belief that you are to like kind of send a thank you note to your interviewer or the person that Yeah, pretty much you're supposed to like respond with a thank you note or something like that, because they did make the choice to take time out of their day, you know, to listen and kind of get to know you to see, are we going to hire this one or are we going to tell them to piss it? Yeah, because I mean they did take the time and put in the effort to go towards you and be like, okay, so tell us about yourself, which is not really the best question to ask someone if you're interviewing them. And I know because I used to work as a front end manager in communist land. And by communist land, I'm talking about Walmart, by the way. I say communist because, oh, look at that. They sell, you know. But still, they, one of the things I absolutely detested when people were interviewing me for like positions. So tell us about yourself. Like what? That doesn't help much. And when somebody makes the choice to take time out of their busy schedule, or they make the choice to give you their time altogether, that's something that they can't get back. To put it down to the to put it down to the most 3D realistic standpoint. And that day when I did that invitational to Citrate and got a heart attack from him roaring himself in, I just thought, you know, I think, and I'm feeling kind of not really compelled, but I'm feeling like I should. Like I should give like a token of my appreciation for him for his time. But now keep in mind, this kind of offering of like giving it in the terms of appreciation is completely different than, you know, like like having him be evoked or you're inviting him to your space to have conversation or inviting him in or having an offering like that. That is completely a different kind of offering than the one that's like the post interaction, which is kind of a weird way of saying it, but still. Because if you're going towards an entity and they respond and you have an offering for them right then and there, that's kind of like standard, somewhat kind of like standard procedure, if that makes sense. But if you're not really connected and you're not really heavily invested with an entity, but they respond and they and they responded, giving them an offering afterwards, still giving them a gratitude of even showing up or even taking the time to even do anything. That, in my opinion, is actually something that should be considered when you're working with divine spirits and whatnot. So essentially now what's going to happen with these little ones, I'm going to drain the water, get the stones out of them, and then I'm going to be kind of saying a prayer over to all of them, thanking them for, you know, giving their beautiful flowers and having them be returned to the earth and telling them to be ready for their next adventure for wherever Gaia takes them. And that's kind of a winded, weird way of putting it, but still. So these ones, I'm going to keep and have them dry out far away. Oh, it's the Kraken. Don't, no. Because I have seen and heard somebody, I'm not going to mention, say that in return for this, I'll let you have a year of my life, or you can take control of some period of my lifetime for a time frame. If you do that, I'm going to be completely blunt because I'm just saying it for how it is. Not meaning to be nice, but blunt. If you're doing that, you're stupid and you clearly don't know what you're allowing to have happen. Because if you're allowing an entity to come in for a year of your life, they can decide whenever, Even when it's something that is like very important to you, like an important time of your life, if they wanted to, they have a total of 365 days. 365 days. Because that's a year. It doesn't have to be consistent. That's why you got to be very careful when you offer something. You have to be specific. If you're having time, you have to be specific when in time. Saying, I'll let you have for a year some of my life. They can choose how many, they can choose up to 365 days. They can choose for a set time in minutes. They can choose, yeah, they can choose a lot. They can, if you're technically, I would, if I was going to be offering time like that, yes. Because as I've said before, many times and many times over and over again, in the occult, what is the number one thing everybody has to be aware of? Doesn't matter what practice it is. What is the number one thing you always have to know when it comes to anything occultic? It has risk. Everything occultic has risk, just like anything else in life. Every occultic thing, even this, making a perfume, and who knows, I might even make a magical perfume out of this if I'm plotting it. This even has risk. It does have risk. But when you're doing magic altogether, or anything of the occultic practice, you risk getting yourself in trouble and in danger. Even if something as simple as like trying to, how do I put this? Like if you're trying to like better yourself, if you're going to be doing a working for self-empowerment, you might do it to an extent where you might become tyrannical, if that makes sense. And by tyrannical, meaning that you become so self-absorbed that you don't care about anyone or anything else. That's putting it point blank. Everything has risk. But in terms of the idea of allowing an entity to have a period of time, that is scary, but that's the truth. And I'm not trying to say this to make people now stop doing occult. I'm saying it because that's the nature of the occult. And in astrology, I'm going to need a lot more vodka for this, but still. Because all of those, yeah, all of them need to be a little bit soaked a bit more, but still. Because what this is going to do. Bloody thing. Scooch. Okay, place the, and cover with vodka for 24 hours, okay. And no, don't you dare say, well, oh, look at you, you could make a good barkeeper. No, I couldn't. But if you're going to be offering to any of them your time, I would not allow them to be given the permission to take control of your physical or any kind of being. I would instead give them like time of service for them in terms of that, meaning like, and now what I'm doing like regarding with TikTok, kind of giving service to Satanists by going on a TikTok and, you know, bringing safety to people if they're going towards the left and the occult altogether. That's the best way to put it. If that makes sense. Because at the end of the day, no matter what happens, who is the most important in life? In your life? Who's the number one? You. If something happens to you, it don't matter what happens next because you aren't moving. So we're just gonna let this go woozy wooey all over the place like that. And now it says cover with vodka. Well, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to let it sit for 24 hours. I'm not really sure if I'm supposed to put a container on the top of this thing. It just says glass jar. And cover with vodka. Okay, well, they're covered, but I guess I'm just gonna go off on a whim here. And Nightshade, what you just said about people offering their children to entities, if somebody does that, that is child abuse. It is child abuse because you're willing to give up somebody else's life that's not yours. You're making the choice to give an entity somebody's life that you don't really have the right to. It's exactly. And actually, speaking of that, I had an incident many moons a while ago, and I say many moons because of an inside joke with me and Kendra. So, I'm not sure if I should cover this or not. And I'm gonna add some more vodka to this. I'm gonna be right back. Well, pretty much it's like, since vodka is pretty harsh, it's gonna be like partially okay. Yeah, no, it's like it's pulling the extract out of it. It's like pulling out the oils of it. Coming out the water to what the water is full of. It's an odd thing to explain. But you get the idea. Yeah. Okay, I have returned. While I'm standing up, I'm gonna just fling these things out through the window. Not literally, but. Okay, scooching to the right a little bit. The thing is, I'm not sure if I should put. Sorry, the things say low power. We're gonna pause the broadcast because this is, how pathetic, weak phones can be when it comes to power. Hold on. Kangardoodle. Not really, but you get the idea. Anyway. And specifically, to be technical, really, in full reality, no. Technically, you really cannot really offer somebody else's life, to be technical. Because they come from a parent, like they come from two parents. That's their child, yes, but the child does have a choice to make on their own. But I'm not really sure if I should put put a lid on it. But nonetheless. You know what I have to say to that? Honestly, Honestly, Nightshade, at that point, I would be all, yeah. I mean, I would just be point blank and let them know that, look, I understand you're wanting the best for me, but what you're doing, not giving me a chance to even have my own choice and discover and learn on my own, that's malefic. I would honestly ask her, he owns me? How does he own me? Does he have the paper? Does he have rights to me? And what makes him have those rights in the first place? Because the thing is, if something owns you and controls you to the point of intimidating you, saying that there's something wrong with you and you're a sinner and you're just a whore, that you need to repent for all your mistakes, and if you're just born, yep. And I mean, to put it this way, okay, well, here, Lila wants to come in. Oh, he owns me? He owns me, huh? Well, that, from what I remember, somebody tried so hard to get a woman. He tried so hard, but he couldn't take no for an answer. So he got blue balled. Oh! But for real. Literally. Oh, he owns me? Oh, that's not how I remember it. He became an obsessive fanboy because he wanted me so bad. But it was more funny watching him get blue balled like, where'd she go? Oh, she tricked me. She tricked me to make this world and ran away from me. That's what happens if you get so obsessive, kid. It's like, not attractive, get away. Now you really ain't gonna get me. Oh, you're gonna get you're gonna get revenge on me by thinking that you still can control and tell me what to do by submitting to your creation that keeps pointing at me and can't handle himself? You think because now I'm in human form that you're gonna expect me to do that? Really? You're so cute. No. Literally. Shortly thereafter. Well, if you must come back to us to the garden. Why? Don't you see you have kids to handle, guys? He wants you back now, so come with us. No. Go away, you freaking feathered pigeons. You come with us, or your children are going to get killed. No. Fine, they die. How about now? You're going to come with us now? You want to become fried chicken? You might want to get away before, you get your wings ripped off. Such a shame. Yep, and then she got vengeance. Yep. And then that's how she got her vengeance on God again for trying to be all sneaky, slicky by doing that. They're trying to forcefully get her to come back like that. But she responded like this. Oh, you think you're so cute and you think you're going to have the last laugh? Well, I'm going to do something that most definitely you're going to always remember me as the one who got away, dude. So she went back to the garden as the serpent. Yep, went back to the garden as the serpent. And told Lilith. And Lilith told Eve, girl, you think this apple's going to kill you? Really? You're going to believe that? You believe this fruit is going to kill you because he said so? Watch this. It didn't do anything to me. In fact, take a bite from it. Shortly thereafter, hey Adam, have a piece of this. What's that? It's fruit from that bush over there. That's not from the tree, is it? No. Meanwhile, Lilith. Chomp. Got him. Did you eat from the tree? Yeah, the serpent told us to. Love's just looking at God like, your creation's forever ruined. Now I have the last laugh. No matter what human comes now, they're infected with that quote-unquote sin virus that you have. Oh, did I just ruin your creation for the rest of its existence? Now maybe you'll step off, dude. Okay, well, so Nightshade. So Nightshade on one. And now the thing is, my response to that is, how am I turning dark, and what are you defining as dark? Dark as in meaning that it's a stereotype? And here's a big question. How do you know how I feel towards that entity? How do you know that? How do you know that I hate him? How do you know? Because there's a difference between despising and hating something, being hospitable and tolerating, or being affiliated or aligned with. Me personally, at the end of the day, right in the middle. Not on either side, friendly to both, until I get swung at or somebody like a friend of mine gets swung at. Demonic? Oh, honey, what do you mean by demonic? Awkward moment. That awkward moment now when you're asking, what do you mean by demonic? What do you mean by this? Like, legitimately asking, why are you calling me that? Because if you're calling me that just because it's not what you want me to, and you're using that term to call something evil and malefic, and using it in that context, you're using the word wrong, honey. You're doing it wrong. Just because something is not aligned with you doesn't make it an automatic antagonist, or an adversary, or something that completely has full opposition against you. Something can be neutral, chaotic neutral, wants nothing to do with the alignment stuff and still be friendly, but that's none of my business. Because there are some forms of Satanism that are clearly being on as Satanism just to be rebel against the right side. That's not really, in my opinion, that's not really the intention of it. If you're aligning with something just to defy and be rebellious against something else just for that purpose, I kind of see that as like, I think you're kind of missing the point. You're like you're rebelling just to have something to rebel against and to push something back because you want to push something back, instead of like being on the side because it feels right to you. You feel in your mind, in your thought process, in your philosophy, it best fits you. There's a difference between philosophical growth and understanding and rebelling just to rebel. But that depends on the individual. There's nothing wrong with it because it is what it is. But I would think if you're going to be going towards Satanism and the true intention of the left-handed path, or any path for that, mind you, you should have the intention behind it and stay with the main focus of it, not be all like, I'm going to rebel because I love, telling things no. That's just my opinion. But most definitely too, when it comes to doing work that's touchy like that, take your time with it. and know your limits. And to be honest, actually, the only thing I can think of is just this. But I was asking questions why, because I wanted to understand it, not to, stand against it. I wanted to fully understand it completely, not, talk back to the old geezers. But you know what they say? Assumption is the #1 thing that causes the most whoopsies about something. If you assume something, most of the time probably it's not. Because if you're having someone ask questions and challenging something, how do you know that they're defying and being against it? What if they're asking so that way they can better understand it so they can get full clarity to possibly benefit somebody else? They don't know because they're hissy-fitting being challenged. It's kind of just like, in a way, it's like being narcissical. My way is the right way, and if you ask anything of it, you're a heretic. No. If you're asking questions about it, exactly. But actually, Kayla, I have just the thing to do for that. I'm gonna break this down so that way it can make sense. I'm gonna scooch this over here. Oh, wow. That smells so majestic already. And all of this is just the flowers and vodka. Oh, that smells divine. But I'm gonna try and make a kind of like a small, not so impressive diagram to kind of help see how we can help get you out of that little cripple point. Okay, here we go. Where are the apparatus? Okay. Did you see that? I saw that. Did you happen to see like someone just go like whatever the screen just like, excuse me, that was rude of you. They're already getting active. Yep. Just like how I lost it. Interfering, but anyway. So Kayla. Just like how this, like the thing about how if it exists, and you acknowledge it, you can target it. This sounds odd, putting it that way. You can target it and influence it. Will you though? That depends on you and how much will you're putting into it. Okay, so you have that in mind. If it exists and you acknowledge it, you can target it and influence it. Yep. Now you're acknowledging that pain. You're now acknowledging it. Because this is what we're going to do. We're going to take that, and now we're going to bamboozle yourself out of it. Okay. So I'm going to do it this way. I just misspelled that word. So I put the word trauma, pain, and the dark past. Actually, I should put that in quotes because it's indicating something that was very not really understood, and it's very intensely terrifying. So we're going to take this, and now we're going to try and influence it. We're going to be doing something to change it. So now we know it exists, we're acknowledging it, so we can target it and influence it. So we now had to figure out, okay, how are we going to target and influence this, and what are we going to do about it? We're going to take this, and since it's something that has a bit of a tight grip, I know that's Latin though. I know that's Latin. But for Kayla, what we're going to do is we're going to actually target and influence that state because we're acknowledging it and we were saying it exists. So we can target and influence it. So instead of it doing its course and causing damage like how it's been doing, we're going to do something to outplay and outmaneuver it. We're not going to banish it. We're not going to go against it. You're probably looking at me like, are you advocating for me to go through this? No, 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 no. No, 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 no. We're going to go about it in a way that logically makes sense. And the logical side of the brain is going to agree with it. It's going to be back in the corner where it cannot fight against it. It can't defy it. That way, logically, it can get easy out there. But this way, the logical side of the brain, you don't. Hey, if you feel comfortable telling me over the text message, like the texting number, and by the way, that's down below. If you ever want to send me a text message, I hope it's down there still. You can text me down below anytime, anything. If you want to have a one-on-one reading, no matter what it is, or if you actually want to set up a session with me, down below. This is for everybody. You can just text me there, and we can go from there. But anyway, for Kayla, in this way, we're going to be going at it in a way that doesn't fight against it, to, combat it. Because usually when you combat against something, you have to be strong enough to either overpower it, or pretty much cripple, or like take it out, or deflect it. But instead, we're going to actually use it to your advantage. How in the heck is that going to work? So now, since we're going to target this thing, we're going to do something that it's clever. Instead of fighting against it, we're going to just go with it, but with a little bit of a twist. And you had to use your wording. You had to be really technical with this. So what I did, I just wrote out a simple intention. All points of trauma that bring harm to Kayla, they now instead empower and enlighten her. Because now what that intention does, since this state only knows how to keep doing what it's doing, let it have it. But now you're putting a filter in the front of it. So it's throwing out the negativity and it's having this negative grip on. But when it grips, it's going to go, okay, now she's just getting better and now she's becoming more enlightened and empowered. And the thing is, this state only knows how to behave the way that it's behaving. It doesn't know anything else. So it's just going to keep doing its thing. But unknowing to it and its being, it's still doing its thing. It's still thinking, okay, I'm bringing in trauma. But in reality, your life is just improving. And until this thing loses its energy, well, the thing is, to be technical, Kraken, to be really technical, any being that's not, be it God, Satanas, Lucifer, Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, yeah, and even then too, another thought, I'm going to be still going on with this one, another thought, how come there's nothing being done about it? If it's this bad, why can't you just go, is it just lazy? That's just a thought, but still. Going back to what I was saying, to be technical to the individual on the individualistic level, one person can simply say, God doesn't exist. He's dead. That's it. Satanas doesn't exist. Dead. But when they say God exists, Satanas exists, they're alive and they're real. And when you have something not exist to somebody's perspective, if somebody says they don't exist, to them, they're dead. Not the person, but the divines, if that makes sense. Those spiritual or astral entities, they don't exist to that individual. They do not comprehend them because they don't acknowledge them. But when you acknowledge them, they exist, if that makes sense. When you acknowledge something, you are saying it exists. And when something exists, it exists based on how you say it. Like if you're saying something exists, it does exist to you. But if you say something doesn't exist, it doesn't exist. But of course, you got to be practical, realistic, saying that, well, that notebook doesn't exist. But that's all mental and emotional in that thoughting. I would be just that one prick, I'd just be all like, you know, Grandpa, if I was Grandma, Sugar Mama, I would have divorced you years ago. Ooh. But anyway, back to Kayla. Exactly. But now back with Kayla's bamboozly elixir of being cured of the difficulty that she's been challenged with. So now you have the intention right here. All points of trauma that bring harm to Kayla, they now instead empower and enlighten her. Beautiful. So now here's what we're going to do. We're going to get all our consonants. Like all of them. And you're probably thinking, oh, chaos magic, huh? Yep. But as some people teach, don't make it too long. Well, if you have to put it in a way that makes it actually do what it needs to do, you might have to make it have a lot of stuff be put into it. You might have to, and it is what it is. Nobody said that this stuff had to be easy peasy lemon squeezy. don't know why I drew that there, but still. So now pretty much all those consonants are right there. We now make a sigil for it, a symbol for it, by using only that. It can be whatever you deem fit. In fact, I will make it for you and send you it. That way nobody can mess with it and think that they're cute. Being all sneaky, like what I talked about last night. Keeping things on the down low. So that way no one could be like, oh, I'm gonna hijack that and mess you up. Don't do that. None of that crap. None of that. And that's another thing that I'm pretty sure that people don't really think about and talk about most of the time, because it does have potential risk. Someone hijacking it and messing with it. But worst of all, if somebody's raising energy, like they're trying to reach out to an entity and doing it live, all they have to do when they're in that state of calling out to something or bringing in something in, somebody can just hijack that calling or summoning or reaching out to that entity. That person's reaching out, somebody just has to hijack and just grab on. And now that person who's hijacking now gets pulled in intimately, and that person can just feed on that individual. And that's how risky and how scary it can be. Completely transparent. That's how scary things can get and how dangerous this can get. If you open yourself up for something to come through, but if you're trying to go towards a certain entity, someone can just waltz right in, play the part just fine. You pull them in, they have full control of you just like that. I don't mean to be all like, I don't want to do this anymore. That's just the reality. Yes, I will. I will, Kayla. I will send you it on that the text line I have. And pretty much all you have to do is just have it on you. You can even have it be tattooed on you. But the real thing is, the focus and the intention of it is whenever you're feeling in that way, you look down at the sigil and think, wait a minute, I forgot this symbol that I now have tattooed on me. I keep forgetting that whenever I'm feeling like this, it's instead going to empower me and make me become more enlightened instead. Of course. No. This is going to make me feel better instead. No. It's making me think that it's still doing that, but no, really, it's making me be more enlightened and empowered instead. It's not bringing me any pain. In fact, it's making me stronger and more enlightened. And really, if someone even does like a generational curse on someone or a curse on somebody, why take out the curse? Yeah, if it is. And ultimately, doing it that way, you're not combating it, and you're not having your energy be trying to be put on ending something. You're making something new to have exist, and now it has to go through it. And you're working smarter, not harder. Because when you're trying to dissolve or put to rest something else, that takes a lot of energy to do, and a lot of time. And it'll drain you for some time. Instead of fighting it, let it have it. But make it a twist. It doesn't take a lot of effort to make a symbol. But the thing is, you have to make sure you stay firm with it. You have to keep bamboozling it. If it tries to outplay you, you outplay it. But even then, at the very end of the day, the one thing that can't be really argued about, the one thing that cannot be argued is this. Right now, whose eyes are you looking through? Whose ears are you using to listen? Whose thoughts do you have in your head? Who makes the choices for you? You. Who decides what happens with you? Who has the last final say what happens in your life? Direct question, I just said it. You. Now that's the case. You can make the choice on what affects you, what doesn't affect you, what makes you stronger, what makes you pretty much catapult in the direction you want to go to. You decide. Oh, I'm going to curse you. Come on, then. Oh no, a curse. Heals me instead. Makes me, for some reason now I know trigonometry instead, even though it's supposed to be a curse on my intelligence. Fail. Oh no, I'm going to be cursed, to have all my bones break. Somehow my bones are now tougher. It's just that mental thought process, and that's mental using the alchemical process with a logical, mental, and magical way of putting it to practice. Because really all that I'm doing is I'm not even putting in a lot of effort. All I'm just doing is being, well, technically my life, I decide what happens to me. With that in mind, I'm being cursed. It reminds me, like, I can make the choice to accept something from someone, like a gift. I can either accept it or not take it. No thanks, I don't want your curse, but thank you for trying to give it to me, but I can't accept it. Gone like that. I can't accept a curse. I'm sorry, I just cannot accept it. Troll face. Nothing wrong with them. The most dangerous thing regarding a cult? The most dangerous is... this is going to be a weird one. The most dangerous one is when you're too confident and too assured of yourself, to the point where you don't stop and think. The most dangerous thing is your ego. That is the most dangerous thing. Because when you think you're so high and mighty, you don't really protect yourself. You're saying that I don't need to do this. I'm this. I have this many years experience. There's a difference between being egotistical and having confidence and knowing how to do something with the experience. If that makes sense. Being egotistical, saying like, oh, I put 11 years in this. I know what I'm doing. No. Going at it in a way that's saying, I've invested 11 years in the occult. I've gone through trial and error. I've learned hands-on what to do, what not to do, what needs to be done, what's secondary and not the necessity. And to be technical, dangerous entities, all of them. I'll say it again. Every entity is dangerous. Because taking it back full circle. Anything that's of the occult has risk. Divines, angelic, the left-handed divines, spirits, the undead. That's all of them. Every single one of them has their own agenda that they go towards. Sometimes, if someone or if there's a group that's wanting to have an agenda be made, sometimes they have to do what they have to do to get that agenda fulfilled. Sometimes it's benefic or malefic. All of them have risk. Just like how the angelic are supposed to be holy and sacred. They did kill, they did murder. But God said it was okay, but don't matter. It's still murdered. It's still malefic. They blessed and healed people, woo. But they still murdered. It's the same agenda, but handled differently. If that makes sense. And it's true. Everything has potential risk. What may be risky to you may not be risky to me. What may be risky to me may be like, really? See? It all comes down, ultimately, to the self. Because just like how, for a spider web, for a spider, that's home. But for a fly, it's certain death. It just depends on each individualistic thing. What's beautiful and comforting and home to the spider is essentially the deathbed of a fly or of a poor whoops insect getting caught in it. And that's really it. You never know until you go towards it yourself and experience it yourself. Just an example. Yep, everything does have its own agenda. Even I have my own agenda. It's just that my agenda is something that prioritizes my well-being and those that I hold close to. It prioritizes them over anything else. But as well, as a secondary, I'm open to anything else. Not aligning, prioritizing myself and that which is important to me first. Everything else is secondary. As long as this is being fulfilled, everything else is secondary. That's an agenda. Now, if something swings in me, then that's obviously different. But I don't know. I'm not aligned with anything. I'm friendly and an ally, of course, but I don't align with. Now, here's the thing. I cannot speak for them. I cannot ever really speak on behalf of a divine or any of them, because for me, that's not my say. That's for them to say. If you want to actually see, go towards them one-on-one yourself. Go towards them and see for yourself. But when you actually put in the time and effort to actually go towards them, to invest with them, and that's the word I'm using, invest. You go towards them with that frame of mind to show that not only are you going to gain, but also them. That opens the door pretty big to have them more likely to agree working and spending time in growing you, if that makes sense. Because again, each entity and each divine figure, or spirit for that matter. Nope. How do you know? How do you know he's looking at you like, girl, you are a really weird one. How do you know he's going to be thinking that? How do you know he's thinking of you in that way? I don't know. But based on my experience when I went towards him, imagine if Honey was able to speak. That is kind of how he speaks and how he interacts with someone. Like Honey talking. It can be very sweet, very romantically. It can be very pleasing. It can be very addictive. It can take control, because sweet can be addictive. It can be addictive listening to him. And it can also be very complimenting. But you have to see for yourself how he is towards you. Because how he is with someone may not be the same for somebody else. One person may experience him as the way of... Well, When you're speaking about hallucinogens, here's a thought. Why do you think they're termed? Exactly. Speaking of hallucinogens, why do you think they call them gateway intoxicants? Why do they have the term gateway attached to them? Don't you think they open the gates? And that's none of my business. Don't mind me. Did I just blow up something? Did I just open the gates to something? Oh well, it happens. I'm not lying. They open gateways to different perspectives. And that is why Pisces, the sign of Pisces, has the dominion over being intoxicated. But too much intoxication can possess you. You can be possessed by outside influence and outside perspectives to the point it drives you mad. And you lose a sense of self. And you're vulnerable from being taken advantage of. That is exactly. You need to have a strong sense of self and a sense of control. Because if you don't, you're not going to be able to withstand it. I just lost my train of thought. I'll try and find it again before that. Oh. I'm trying to say and it's not coming out. Hold on. When it comes to divine entities, spirits, then they don't have the same awareness as a person does. And you got to keep in mind, human awareness is pretty down. It's not that high up. Their awareness is here. We're right here. Hello, Lisa. Human awareness is this one. Spiritual awareness and higher awareness is up here. That's quite the difference. So they're not going to be kind of in the awareness of like, oh, okay, well, we're going to go over and, jump at this spirit. No, that's not how it works. They don't go out of that way. But when it comes to this, when it comes to thinking that somebody is going to be sending a curse or plague someone. Hold on. But anyway, they don't think about going and swinging at somebody else and their belief willy-nilly. No. Especially now if somebody sends out a curse or if a certain entity, really? Or a certain entity is like safeguarding like their heritage. If somebody's attacking it, it's an attack. If someone's degrading it, it's an attack. And of course, they have to, the entity and their people have to defend it, obviously. But when you, for an example, when you go towards a divine entity and say that it doesn't have, oh, I don't know, let me think of something really stupid to say. Critical thinking? If you're saying a divine entity doesn't have critical thinking, you kind of need to get pushed off a cliff. Because a divine has an awareness substantially higher than you. Stop yelling, dude. Use your inside voice. But still, if you think a divine can't use critical thinking and can't logically think, you shouldn't even be saying a word about nothing, because they have an awareness much more superior than you. And especially if it's another culture's divine, you're insulting their culture. I don't mean to be point blank reality upside the head, but that's what you're doing. And if you think it's cute to be all like, oh yeah, it's like a like a divine Pokemon. No, that's not at all how you think this is. It shouldn't even be thought about that. Because if you're thinking this is like a trading monster game, no. In fact, this isn't, that's like making it like a kiddie thing. Like a game. No, 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 no. Don't think this is a game, because you can seriously get yourself in ouchy terms and really get someone or yourself hurt if you mess with it the wrong way. Just saying. That's why, at least for me, I try to go out in a way very nice. Well, I'm actually kind of like, and you really, Nightshade, you shouldn't even be thinking about bad stuff about yourself anyway, because the thing is, why even think about that about yourself? Why? Is it true? Is it true that you think you're annoying? Do you think you're annoying? Are you obnoxious? Because I know definitely for a fact you're not stupid. If someone is making you believe you're stupid, mm-mm, mm-mm. If somebody says, well, Brandon, you're kind of obnoxious. No, that's what you think, but I'm not. Mm-hmm. When you connect with an entity or a deity or any kind of spirit, when you connect, kind of go towards them and really put it this way: go towards them how you would want to be approached yourself. Stop bloody yelling, dude. If you're gonna go towards an entity very open and very inviting, friendly, hospitable, splendid. But when you start mocking and going at them in a malefic, baneful, and degrading way, oops! Now they're gonna come at you that way. That's just how it is. What you put out, they're gonna throw right back at you. And Nyx is probably one of, if not the most, I would have to say, probably the most nurturing and one of the most uplifting ones you can interact with. Because Nyx sees everybody the same. Oh, hold on. Mm-hmm. So now, If someone is constantly talking and giving you their attention and time, they're an obsessive fangirl or fanboy. Be it good or bad attention. Not lying. But anyway, I'm gonna be attending to these, getting them all cleaned up and put out. So that's pretty much the stream for tonight for right now, and I'll just see you guys on the next one. Oh crap, I can't even look at this thing, it's gonna make me blind.